Hello and welcome to our next art lesson. So this art lesson is going to be a bit different because it's only with graphite or pencil. And so we're going to start with this dragon face. And the only art supplies that we're going to need: pencil, a big eraser like this, a paper stump, really important to have a paper stump, and then I'm going to use a clickable eraser. If you don't have one of these, a pencil eraser will work too. You want an eraser that you can use to actually draw with the eraser by erasing little lines and points of light off of it. So that's what we need. And I have a 8x10 drawing paper taped to another piece of paper. And I've used drafting tape. You can use painter's tape. I don't recommend masking tape because it can tear the paper. All right. The other thing that's a bit different about this lesson is normally you get to see my encouraging face. So that's why I wanted you to get to see my encouraging face right now. But this project, because there's lots of details and little tricks and things that I want to show you how to do, the camera is going to be focused on my hands and on the drawing and not on my face. You will hear my voice though telling you what to do, and then we'll see each other again at the end of the video to talk about what went right and what went wrong and what just was not what we expected. And remember, this is just practice. So since this is our first pencil lesson, don't worry if you don't know what to do. We will do it together. So next shot will be my hands and this drawing. So as you can see, the first thing that I've done is found my midpoints. So I found the halfway mark here, here, and here. I did not use a ruler, but you are welcome to do so. It's not necessary though if you're a good guesser, so just guess close enough counts and we'll get started from there. So on my drawing, I have those midpoints marked as well. And so what's going to be helpful for us is that our eye is located in this area and our nose is going to be going towards this midpoint here. So that's going to help us find our way around. I would say that the most important part of this picture is his eye. If you were going to have just a picture of something and like mess up and like not have room for something else, I'd say that his eye would be that subject matter. So we're going to start with the eye first, and we're going to position it to the right of the midline this way and above the midline this way. And we're just going to start with a floating platform. So about there is going to be good. And I think I need it a little bit closer to my midline. So I'm going to do this. You don't have to do this. Not sure if you can see it, but that'll help you see where to draw it. Okay, next, I'm going to add a curve on the front. It's kind of like if you were drawing a lowercase l. So you get that lowercase l kind of shape. And there, that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to put a floating platform about there. So the closer down, the squintier he will be, and the higher up, the more awake he will be. So if you want a nice squinty dragon, make it lower. If you want him to be wide awake, make it higher. Then I'm going to come over, cross that to make an X, and this will be the tear duct. All right. Going this way, I'm going to have it kind of droop in a bit and connect over there. So it kind of resembles a trapezoid. Next, I'm going to put an upside down letter U up here and a large egg shape for the highlight. Then back here, I'm going to put another curve. And then we get to do the eyelid shape all the way around. So where this left off, I'm going to go over, around, close but not touching this, around, and connect to our lowercase letter L. So that is the eye. Next, we'll move to the front of his face over here to get his nose in place. So very near to the side and right on this floating platform, we're going to need a diagonal that goes that way. So that's going to be where the nostrils are going to happen, right up there. And we want this big grinning dragon. So we're going to plan where we're going to head. And so we're going to head right about here. So I'm going to put a floating platform really close to this line. So right there. Now I'm going to go from here to there, but I'm not going to go straight because that would be boring. Instead, I'm going to go down, up, and then join it. So you can see my line was playing really close to this helping line. So that's good. So if you go too far down, then you know that you're too far down because you won't be close to this helping line. So that's good. Next, I'm going to work my way down for the bottom of his mouth. So I want to skip some space because I want those fun teeth. And then I'm going to put the bottom shape, which is going to echo that top shape. It echoes the top shape. And then I'm going to work my way up and connect to there. So that is his grin. Let's find his jaw. He's got this fancy reptile thing going on here. And so we're going to find that over here. And it's going to happen about here. And so we're going to get those. Kind of looks more like what I'd think an amphibian would have because it looks like it should be going underwater. Okay, so we got that kind of shape. And then we want to come down for his jaw. Next, I'm going to start way over here and make a curl down and follow this shape for a lower lip. There's a lower lip. Then I want an interesting chin, so I'm not going to quite start here. I'm going to go back up a little bit, do a little chin, then a big chin, then get it skinny, then have a big jaw that joins that one. There, that'll look really interesting, so I'm happy with that. Next, the mouth has a bit of a gasket, so I guess that so if he drinks water, it doesn't all leak out. So we're going to need a bit of a gasket. So if it looked too big, that's because this is where the inside of the mouth gasket kind of thing happens. So you kind of curve like this so that this will be fleshy, and that's the open area right there. All right, I'm going to put a lip on there before we stop with this part. So I'm going to come back up here. We're going to get the upper lip. So the upper lip is going to follow this line closely, and then we'll have it stop about there because our lower lip stopped there, our upper lip will stop there. And don't worry that it kind of looks like lipstick right now. I'm excited about those teeth. So we want some teeth that'll like pull his dinner in. So these teeth are going to kind of go in this direction. And you can be creative about those, but we kind of want them mostly just going this way. Kind of look like shark's fins a bit. And then I'm not going to continue back because the molars are going to be down inside. Then the top has some gums that the teeth are kind of perched on some gums. And they're going to go up and down, kind of like canines, okay? And then these teeth are going to be going in this direction. So we've got this kind of thing happening. And if you're tight, then you can make your teeth smaller. And if you have a bigger mouth, then you can make your teeth larger. Okay, so those look super interesting. All right, got my teeth going that way. Next, I'm going to do a line for his chest. So we have two types of scales. We got like breastplate scales for protection, and then these are the ones on the neck that move. So let's do this center line that kind of goes in between them. And we'll start here, and we're going to head for just past our midline, like that. All right. And then to draw the scales, we're going to create a bit of a distance. I'd say where your gasket is a good indication. So we'll start about there. And we're going to use capital letter L's, but do you see what I did there? I started here instead of the point, but I extended out so that it creates that interesting overlapping look. And you want to just keep doing that until you run out of room. So you might have more or less than me. They don't have to be the same. All right, up here where our diagonal is where our nostrils are going to go. And I maybe have my nose my diagonal a little too long. Yep, I have my diagonal a little too long. So I'm just going to shorten this with this big eraser because I don't need to use my special little eraser to do a big job like that. And then I can do kind of this kind of thing. So put that in there. And then I'm going to go over it and create this kind of bump on it and back around and down. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, so we got that. And then this is the part of the nostril that sticks up. So you can see that on the other side, even though you don't see the whole of the nostril. So we'll start not at the end, but about here and go up and curve back down. So I'm guessing these nostrils can go open and close and up and down and probably have fire come out of them. So super cool. Depending on how large or small you've been drawing, you'll have more or less room for the details of this drawing. So over here, for instance, I'm going to draw an ear and I don't have much room, so I'm not going to see much of this ear. But I'm going to extend it off the page because some of you out there might be drawing this dragon a bit smaller, and then you'll be able to see how to draw more of that ear. So I'm going to start on top of this line and kind of work my way out of the frame. And I'm going to come below and work my way out of the frame. And this would kind of connect something like that over there. Then there's this inside line and this inside line. All right, so something like that. I encourage you to have your drawing go off the page and not really see it all. So when you watch this video, don't decide, I must have it smaller, because it looks interesting when something goes off the frame. But you know yourself, if you'd really like to see all of the parts of this dragon, you are welcome to make it smaller. And don't include this letter L because it's not part of the ear. Okay, so we got the ear. And so now I can work on the top of the brow bone. So close to this eye socket, I'm going to need a eyebrow that goes very close. And then it kind of comes out and goes behind this ear. So that's the brow bone. And then underneath of the eye, we're going to need kind of where his muzzle starts. So this part here is going to go just under the eye. And it'll create a little bit of a hugging space where it goes in that space, goes around that. See how it kind of hugs that shape a bit? And I'm going to stop at that center line. So it copies that tear duct without touching it. And that creates some interest. Now we're going to do some nice wrinkles to connect the nose to the face. We got this vacant space here. And similar to how we did the plates on the chest, we have some nose plates. The only difference is instead of being just a capital letter L, they're going to curve back down to create that curve of the muzzle. So I'm going to start about here, go this way, and then curve down. And then start next to it and go up and curve down. And I think I can fit one more up and curve down. All right, it's getting kind of crowded. And so I just wanted to go up to that space right there. Okay, so you decide. You can have less of them and have them be wider. You can have more of them and have them be close together. Think of like an accordion or something, how it's going to close in and out. So we've got that. And then we can connect it to the rest of the brow. So we have this brow, then we need kind of a higher up brow. So it will connect here and go up and then join this for part of his head. And then we need one that goes more up, see, more up and over for kind of the brow of the eye on the other side. So we've made it all the way. We're ready to do the horns and the other ear. How exciting. I would say now is a good time to erase your helping line of the plus if you included it. If you didn't, you don't have to worry, but this is a time when I'm going to be using my big eraser again to erase that helping line. I've erased my helping lines and I've dusted off all the schnoodlings, and now I'm ready to do this other ear. So I will start about where this point happens and kind of make the curve for that center part of the ear. So it just kind of goes out like that. It's pretty fun. Then I'm going to work my way up and keep it thin here and thin, and then get a little wider and then thin back down for that back of the ear. Then I'm going to start at about the same place and come down and curve back and get lost kind of behind that part of his nose. So we have an ear now. All right, horn time. We want to do the horn that's closest to us. The horns are a bit complicated, but in a good way to make them look cool. And remember, boredom is my enemy. So no boring, just interesting. So it's going to head in this direction. And so I'm going to start, here's my pupil of my eye, and here's the bump. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to do that L thing again. This time they're bent. They look like an Allen wrench, okay? So there's my big Allen wrench, and then there's my next smaller size Allen wrench, and my next smaller size Allen wrench, and my next small. And then you're just going to keep going until you go right off the page. So however many you have, that's how many you do. So that's on that side. Then you're going to have a gap. Gap. And then we're going to do the opposite Allen wrench going in this direction. But instead of, so if you notice, this one's a long part, short part. This one is the long part, short part here. So it's not the same direction. So that means long, short, long, short. They're a little slightly different. Now, if you were going to spend a lot of time making horns, you could adjust these and like kind of curl them even. See how like I changed the direction there by like bending that? That's how you would do that if you were going to do that. So, you know, I like to teach you stuff that's extra. So just imagine a goat. Kind of reminds me of a goat. All right. So we got that one in place. And now let's do the next one. So the next one is going to start closer to this ear and head up in that direction. So I'm going to go about here. The long part of my Allen wrench, short part of my Allen wrench. You people who don't know what Allen wrenches are going to be like, what is she talking about? So I think they're also called hex wrenches, and they come with furniture from IKEA, I think. So headed that way, and then this is the long side. So skip a space, long side, and down. There we go. Yep. And again, I could bend it if I wanted to. And so you could be creative if you want to. And then you may want to like close it off. Anyway, you notice right off the bat that my horns are different from my example. On this one, if you imagine like kind of like scissors, this one's more kind of like that, so that this one is behind that one more. And then this one's more open, going this way and that way. So it's just a different angle, and you can decide how you would want that to be. So if I want to be different, I'd probably, if I changed my angle and go this way more, I would get more of that scissoring or overlapping going that way. So that's how you would change that if you were going up like me and you want them to lay down. The last part of our line drawing that we want to do is we want to lay in these neck scales that bend. And so they're going to be over here. So we're going to use a helping line again to get us in position. And I would say not too close. So give yourself about 1 inch, and then you're going to kind of follow up like this. And then have this one follow like this. And imagine that this would be going kind of like back here. And so then your last one would be like this, and you know, something like this was probably happening that we're not seeing. So I just was thinking about an iguana right then. All right, so anyway, these are going to be the trails that we're going to make these kind of scales happening. And you can see last time I made them a little smaller and a little closer together, so that's how they're going to vary slightly depending upon how close you put these lines. So we got those in place, and then we're ready to do this next section of these curves here. For the scales, I like to think of them as either pointy U's or curvy V's. See what I mean? They're a little pointier than a U, but a little curvier than a V. So that's how we'll do it. So imagine it's behind here, and then you'll see only a little part of it, and then it's going to come and join this line. And then we've got another one, and join this line. See how I'm not going to have to erase these lines later because I've stayed in my lane. So imagine that these are like roads for these. Okay, so I've got those in place, and then the next one's going to be in the next lane. There we go. Okay, and the next one. Oops, I almost missed my line. And so there will probably be one about there too. All right, so now we have our line drawing finished. This is the only part that we're going to have in the end. This was just to help you out if you had drawn more than me or smaller than me so that you could see more parts. We are ready to do the shading. Yay! The first thing to do is color all the places that are the darkest places. Now, when you color with pencil the darkest places, do not color with all your might because graphite is a metal and it will have like a shiny appearance. And so if you press with all your might, it'll look black all right, but it'll also dip into your paper and create that kind of shininess, okay? So the best way to get dark is to instead not press with all your might, but repeat yourself a lot. So you're coloring it, and then it won't get shiny. It'll just get darker without getting shiny. So I'm gonna just keep layering that on there, layering that on there, layering that on there, like that. So I wanted you to know about that so that you wouldn't start coloring things and it all get all shiny. Now, it's not the end of the world if you make it shiny. Thankfully, no one will die if you make it shiny. So it's okay if that happens to you. So there you can see I've used repetition to get that nice and dark. Okay, and so we're going to do that in all the places that look the darkest in this picture. So we've got our nostril, then we're going to do our lips. We're going to get the center of our gasket area. So it's kind of shaped like a tornado. So I don't have to get the whole gasket area. It's just kind of the depth part that folds in. The tear duct. The pupil, the back of the tear duct, so the back of the eye here, the inside of the ear on this side, and the shadow side or the overlapping part just under this line of this ear. Those are the places that it's the easiest to see, that they are the darkest on the picture. Now there's going to be some other places that we're going to make it pretty dark too. So these are more the surprising places because we're going to be blending it and stuff later. So we're going to come out to the front of his nose and do an almost that dark line right about there. So see how wide it is? See how it ended up being almost like a little past that nostril there? Then I'm going to go up these scales and create that shadow. So this time I'm going to stay close to the line in front of it. So here's the line I'm snuggling close to, and I'm not making it all the way to that line. So I'm leaving a gap there. And I'm going to repeat that pattern. So this time I'm snuggling close to this line. And then on this one, I will snuggle close to this line. When I get to here, snuggle close to there. So I have to keep this shadow small so that I have enough of a gap here. So this one could be bigger because I want a gap there. So shadow, gap, shadow, gap, shadow, gap, shadow. Now the part that ends up being different about this is this part sticks out and overlaps. So we're going to bring this shadow all the way over to here and kind of follow under this line all the way till we get to this protrusion here, right to there. Okay. Then inside the gasket, we're going to make it dark, but not as dark as our original. All right. And under this chin, we're going to go down here and do a shadow that follows this line. All right, this is where it gets fun because we want to create this like shadow shape. So we're going to, the chin shape with the shadow. So we're going to kind of follow the curve of this chin right here. Create that. And then, because this goes with the bulging lip, but then the jaw is going to come up here, then it kind of comes out of the middle to create this fine edge of this shadow side that will create this curve that we have over here. See how it copycats the shape of this jaw, but it's just a little smaller, so it's up there. And then there'll be another shadow that copies the jaw too, right about there. And this is a little hard because it's like, okay, I'm just keep putting these dark things in, but I promise it's going to look better soon. So we got that, then come up here, we're going to shadow above this line, but not as high as that other line. And above this line, but not as high as that other line. And next to this line, but not as far over as that line. Okay, we got that in place. Now let's do our chest scales. So we did the L's that stick out, but his face is coming down to create a shadow. So the shadow comes across. So imagine a diagonal here and up. So there's a triangular shaped shadow at the top of this scale, like that. And that's going to continue all the way. So see how the shadow is under this line here and going that way. So we'll continue that pattern until you run out of scales. Okay, and now we'll do it up here on the horn. So the horn is a bit different than this because these, we noticed they were similar to draw, but they're differently shaded. So there's more of a bulgy edge on them. So to shade them, we look at, here's our Allen wrench shape, and it kind of just follows here, but it doesn't go all the way up inside like this. So they're almost like little windows. It still gets a line that it gets to rest on, so we'll have it rest on this line, the bottom line, but it won't touch the top line. All right, let's check out this one. Yep, similar over here. So we're gonna, and then on this side, and the pattern would continue. Okay, we have the dark shadows everywhere, but we got to do these guys. Okay, so these guys, think of them as being folded on a center line. And so we've got a line on them, all right? So we want to think about them that way, that they've got a center line. Next, we want to think about that they're overlapping. So we'll have a bit of a lowercase letter y kind of shadow for these. So it snuggles against the line of the scale above it like that. And then it shadows to the right side of this line. So see how it looks like a lowercase letter y? So we'll do that again. We'll snuggle against the line of the one above it, and then we'll shadow next to this line. I don't come all the way to the end, and I don't come all the way to the edge. So that's why it looks more like a Y. And of course we have the shadow up underneath of this ear and following the line there for our Y. And we should put a little shadow here on the side of his head, right about there. Okay, so the intensity of those shadows are very similar. We did our darkest, and then very close to the darkest. We've got those all in place. And if you're normal, you probably have graphite on the side of your hands, and you maybe even have smeared it a bit as you've gone along. Please don't erase that stuff. Leave that there. It should work out good and be like helpful to you for the picture, because the next part is your paper stump. So when your paper stump is brand new, it is a clean white paper like that. When you've used it a bit, it starts looking like this. So since I've used mine a bit, that's not fair, right? I'm going to use the end that's white so that I can show you what to do. So we have all these shadows because now our paper stump is going to pick up that lovely graphite, the black graphite, and spread it out in places so that we can create the tone for the dragon's skin. So first off, let's start like right here on the nose. So we've already drawn the lip pretty dark, and so we'll go ahead and use our paper stump to make that a bit smoother. And you can already see what's happening. Watch when I move it up onto this empty page. Woohoo! My paper is blending, so I'm going to go on this. Oh, look at that. That is so fun. Okay, I'm going to bring the camera closer so you can see this up close. This is so fun. Okay, so I'm going to smear inside my nostril, get that dark smooth, and then kind of come out. Oh, look at that. Okay, now don't be afraid to get this too smeary. I don't think you can get it too smeary. And look, I can go outside the lines. Oh no, I went outside the lines. Oh, I'll show you what to do with that later, so don't worry. Okay, it's not an oh no, it's an oh boy. Okay, we're gonna go on here. So now you're basically coloring with your paper stump. See that's happening. So our dragon went from a line drawing to a white and black dragon, and now it's going to be kind of a gray and black dragon because of how our paper stump is smearing this all around. Now once you learn this, you may just want to do like one area at a time. I'm kind of giving you like the large body motion kind of thing for this instead of fine motor kinds of things, large motor actions. Because it's easier to learn it in phases and to teach it in phases when we've got beginner lessons on this. So you can just kind of approach and we'll be able to fix it later. Okay, so on the eye, one of the things for the eye, you've got our pupil, and since it is a eyeball, let's see, we can go ahead and kind of keep that roundness to it. There we go. It's our dragon's going into nighttime. So you can follow the shapes. This kind of thing is why the sloppy kids can still be great artists. Because you can just kind of go at it and it will end up being okay in the end. All right, now we have our gray and black dragon. So I've blended pretty much everywhere, and now my paper stump is nice and gray. Okay. So what's the difference between this dragon and that dragon? It's the erasing. Okay. So get your eraser stick out, or if you have a pencil eraser, you can use that too. And we're going to use this to, first of all, we're going to clean up our edges where we colored outside the lines. All right, so I've cleaned up all my edges. The first thing we did was make the darkest places dark. Then we made the next to darkest places dark. Then we used a paper stump to make everything gray. So now with this step, we want to erase everything that we want to be completely white, which feels backwards, but it's gonna look cooler this way, I promise. So you're gonna take it, and it's like you're drawing with your eraser. So you will have to have a little bit of a scrubbing motion back and forth to clear it off, but we're gonna draw everywhere that we want it to be white. So the whitest places, the brightest places. So I've got this edge and this edge. One more. Okay, when you get to this one, if you accidentally erase that one, you can always make it blurry again with this stick, because the highlight edge is on this side. I'd say if you're right-handed, start on the left and work your way that way, and if you're left-handed, start on the right and work your way to the left. So that you don't lay your hand in it and smear it again after you've erased it. I want to leave some of that shadow on the tooth, so that's why I'm only erasing out the tips. I'm going to keep those gums pigmented. See how it's coming to life? I'm going to get that glow on that lip. And a shadow on this chin. I mean, not a shadow, highlight. These are the bright parts. Bright, 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 bright. We have an upside down tornado coming up these scales. So it's on the line and up, line and up. Not on the shadow side, right? All right, then we got the glowing crisp edge on these scales. All right, let's get this eye. Okay, so we're gonna come up here. Close to the pupil is the brightest, and inside there. Then you can kind of star it out. And we'll get a glowing edge to the lid and right here. We'll get the edge on her ear, get some interesting on these, whatever these things are. You want them to stick out. So if they're brighter, they'll stick out. If they're darker, they'll go back in space. These are kind of shaped like staples because it goes this way and into the middle. So it's got that kind of staple feel. All right, oh, I missed a highlight on his jaw, so I'm gonna get that. and the jawbone. We want this to stick out farther. Okay, dusted off all the schnoodly bits. I'm gonna take a look at my dragon now, see what I think. All right, so the first thing that I notice is that this one is a bit darker, and so we have our darkest tones, our lightest tones, our mid-tones, and our next to the darkest tones, but we don't have kind of a light gray. So use your big eraser to gently, see how it's like petting a cat. Pet, pet, pet. And then you get those middle grays. Pet, 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 pet. Yeah, okay. So if you feel like it got too dark, that's how you can lighten it up a little bit with the tools that we have. So that's our gentle, light gray kind of look. All right, so I'll use that on the side of these. So you can see I'm not erasing as much because I don't want to be as bright as those little lines that I've erased out. Ooh, I missed one here. Let's get this one in. There we go. Okay. All right. I am pretty happy with that dragon. I hope you are happy with your dragon too. Oh, we need a highlight right here. Let's do a highlight around this lip where it hangs out. So I hope you're good too. So now I want to show you one more thing with this paper stump that is super fun. So we have used it on our black areas to make these areas gray, right? Well, the other thing that you can do with it is you can either use one of the gray areas you already have, or if you're not comfortable with that, you can make for yourself a graphite puddle. So I call this my graphite puddle because I've colored it not on my artwork. It's over here, a puddle of graphite. And then you can rub your stick on your puddle, and then you can do things like draw wisps of smoke. So these will not have as strong of a line as if you drew it with a pencil, right? So that's where you can get a cool effect. Kind of coming out. Now you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You could even just play with it on a different piece of paper. But it's kind of a fun thing for you to know that you can do that you can create more of a wispy look with those. So there's that. Also, you could use it to draw kind of like starry lines in his eye now that we've erased it. So if you want to have a pattern, you could do that. So see, I've got a nice pattern now. And that's all for today. So once you get this far, you know what to do. Take off your tape. You're going to peel it low and at a right angle away from your art. Pull this one down. Oh, I love that crispness it makes. I'm going to rotate it so I can pull it towards me. I'll rotate again. I think it's just easier than trying to have super long arms and reach on the other side to pull it towards me. There we go. And we can sign it down here. And I've been putting 2020 on everything because I want to remember something good that happened in 2020. Yay, art. Okay, I'll see you soon at the meetup. Thank you. Bye-bye.